Hello, hello, it's me again, Louise. Nice to see you here today. Just in case you don't know me yet, this is the face behind this channel, Louise Heinzel Junk Journal Art. And today I would like to give you a tour, or at least part one of a tour through my craft room. And to be honest, I'm a little bit scared. Well, scared is probably not the right word, but I have a lot of respect for making this video because on the one hand, this room is a little bit big and there's a lot to show you and to talk about. And the other reason is I don't want to scare you with what I have in my room. So I think the first thing I need is a coffee. So let's go to my coffee machine. So if you have seen my last video, you know where I am here. If you have missed my apartment tour, which I have shown you in my last video, then please watch the last video, There you can see everything about this, I would say, creative apartment. And we are going to talk about my craft room. I'm walking away a little bit because the machine is so loud. And I would like to let you know in these first minutes of the video that this room is not only a craft room, but also my workspace where I do my job and where I do what I do for a living. And because of that, I want you to know that this is perhaps a lot if you are a beginner in junk journaling, or perhaps you watched this video by coincidence or for other reasons. Perhaps you are not a junk journaler, but a paper crafter in general. Perhaps you make cards or whatever. But please note that this is a workspace and that because of that, I probably have some more craft supplies than other people might have. But that is also a point I found really important to talk about, because no matter how many craft supplies we have, no matter how big our room is, or even if we don't have a room, no matter how big our space is, we are creating something. We are all sitting in the same boat and we are all here for the same thing. And that's inspiration. That is having fun, creating something cool. And I think that is the essence of everything, no matter if I have a ton of colors in my room or whatever I have. And the other thing is, I think even if you don't have a craft room at all, even if you only have a little corner in your living room where you craft, I'm really hoping that you can find some inspiration from this video. Perhaps you find some things storage wise, or perhaps you find some products that you like that you want to have, or perhaps that is something totally different. Perhaps you want to have the same paint on your wall. I mean, the color of my wall, yeah. So whatever it is, I'm really hoping that you can find inspiration from this video. And the other thing is, while I was preparing this video, I realized that I have respect for doing this because I have the feeling that my brain works a little differently than other brains. If you know my channel, you know that already, and you know that sometimes it's really weird, at least for people who are not in my brain. So that means for the most of you. So let's take a sip of my coffee and then try to explain this thing. I've decided to divide this video in several different parts because I already realized that it is a lot what I could show you and talk about. So in this video, you will get a rough overview over everything. I will try to explain my main system behind this room and how parts of my brain work, and in the upcoming videos I will show you then the rest. So today we are also focusing on my table where I'm sitting here right in this moment. So that is an overview over all the things I have directly around me here on my craft desk so that I can reach them while I'm working here. And I also want to show you the single things I have around me here so that you can perhaps think about making something like that for yourself. And I think what I have around me here is also something you can do on a really small space, even if you don't have a craft room at all. So let's try this. And by the way, it is not a coincidence that I have this website open here. Please note that, okay? And I also, I'm really proud of myself. I also thought, I think for this special time and for, I think we are starting a new chapter right now. It's a special time, I would say, for all of us. So please note what I have on my body here today. I'm really proud. I thought I want to wear something plaid, and then I realized that this is my only plaid shirt I own, and I thought I don't fit into it anymore. But then I thought, let's try it, and I'm really proud that in the meantime, I mean, for your information, I lost some weight, and in the meantime, I fit in here. I mean, it's still a little bit tight here on my arms, but I think I can reach that goal as well this year, to fit completely comfortable in this shirt. But I needed to wear this. I mean, if you know, you know. So let's go and let's, try to do this here. So when I stand up from where I was sitting a second ago, then this whole thing looks like this. So here's my craft desk, and here's also the place where I film my craft videos for YouTube. And when I then turn around, we have this overview here. And I would say there are two main components which make my system in this room work for me. The first thing is my brain works in colors. You can already tell. And it's not colors like red, green, blue, black and white, and then, the list has an end, but it is a special color palette, and that is the color palette by Tim Holtz and Ranger. So my brain has the 72 colors of the Ranger palette, somehow like a tattoo. And that is how my brain works. That's also why I have this thing here on the wall, obviously in the order Ranger and Tim have put together. You can see the same order here in this shelf. I will later on, in one of the following videos, talk about how this system works and what this is. But what I'm trying to say is, here we have the same 72 colors we have there, which are the Ranger colors. I also have this thing here where I have all my distress pins. So this is also the order of the Ranger palette. And this is what's in my brain. When I make a project, I don't think so much about a theme, or in the most cases, I don't think about a theme at all, but everything starts with these colors, or at least a few of these colors. The color palette is, in the most cases, what gives me the starting point for whatever I do. And the second thing is, which is in my brain, that's like categories, components, which you need for making a junk journal. And that is what you can see here. So in here, I have a ton of things, which all are obviously junk journal related, but not only that, they are like the single components you need to make a junk journal, or you want to have in your junk journal. I think it's not so nice when you say you need those components for making a junk journal, because you can, of course, decide what you want to have in your journal, yeah? But after my move from Austria back to Germany, where I am now, I found this gorgeous cabinet in a second-hand store here. At this point, I have to thank my junk journal friend Petra Sila Fuchs very much. Petra, if you're watching this, thank you so much, because she has shown me not only the second-hand shop here, but also this thing on a photo. And then, as you can imagine, I wanted to go there, and she took me to this shop, and she was really kind. She came with her car and picked me up. That was a really nice day. And then I first thought, okay, this is really cool. This is obviously originally vintage. Yeah, it's not something that is only looking vintage, but it's really old already. It is in a really, really perfect condition. But then I was struggling a bit because I wanted to have these things, which I now have here, but I thought these drawers are not transparent and I can't see what is inside when I'm standing here. And first I thought it could be a problem when I only have these labels here with the things which are inside, but when I can't see through them, it's perhaps a problem. In the beginning, I thought, ooh, this thing drives me crazy. But in the meantime, I'm so happy. For me, there's no better system for this part of my craft room than this. So what is this? When we look closer to these labels, you can see words which hopefully are familiar when you are into junk journaling. So for example, in this little drawer, there are all my clusters and cluster related things. In this thing, I have my tape and transparencies. So everything which is like, for example, finished tape with alcohol ink, or finished transparencies, which I can take out and use in my journal like they are, or also raw things which fit in this category. Then I have something that is called fasteners or metal snippets here in this corner. Or this, it is not a corner, you know, in this area here. This makes perhaps a little more detailed sense. Here it says metal snippets, and in here there are metal snippets. More specifically sorted, is that English? I have my charms here because charms are special metal snippets, aren't they? So in here, there's something, you know, where you can't really say or tell what it is. In here, there are also a few charms, but only because of, you know, organizing time problems. You could like reorganize this to make this into a more senseful thing. But I have my charms in here. I will go into detail about the content of the drawers in the next videos because it would be too long for this video. But I have everything I want to have as a component in my junk journals here. For example, tags. As you can see, I have multiple drawers with tags because of the different sizes of tags I have. Then here's something which says pockets and tucks. So in here there are, for example, all of my pre-made pockets, but also things which can become pockets, like for example paper bags. But in here there are also things, you know, which are finished and which are ready to go into a journal. In here the things are not sorted by color. Not like here where my paper is and where other materials like fabric, little snippets of lace or so are. Here everything is sorted by color, but in here there's also not what belongs in here component-wise. Perhaps that makes sense when we look into these or talk a little further about the other things. I find this really helpful because, I mean, this and this in combination, because when I get something, I mean, you know how junk journaling is. You can take everything you want and everything you can find. I mean, you can look into your trash can and pick things out and you can use that in a junk journal. What is junk journaling? You can take basically whatever you can find, whatever you like, and that can be sometimes perhaps a little bit overwhelming because, where to put that, how to store that, how to organize all of these things without getting overwhelmed, without turning into something that looks a little bit messy in the room perhaps. You don't want to have a room where it's not cozy anymore because you have too many materials or too many things and you don't know how to store them. And for me, this system is really, really helpful because no matter what I have in my hands, no matter what I get in Happy Mails or find in the trash can or on a flea market, or no matter what I buy somewhere, I always know where to put it, and there's nothing laying around here. Everything is organized and everything has its place. And that was really important for me when I set up this room, that every single piece of something I have has a place where I can put it so that I don't get messy in my room. Because I think when you want to be creative, a little mess is necessary, yeah, but this messy table while you are creating is for me something totally different than a messy room, and that was really important to me. Another thing which was really important to me when I set up this room next to this don't getting a messy room thing was that I can reach the most of my things when I sit on my desk here. So that means I have all of the things I need on a really regular basis, meaning every few minutes or so around me here. And I did that because when I sit here and my brain is doing what it's doing, and when I am creative, I don't want to disturb myself. I don't want to disturb my own creative process by the need of standing up and picking something up. So what I do is, before I start a project, because obviously when I sit here, I can't reach my mediums there, I can't reach my paper in that shelf there, and I can't reach what is in the cabinet you've just seen because it's a few meters away from here. So what I do is I think about what I want to create, and then I do a little trick which works with baskets and little trays and so on, little containers where I can like shop in my own stash before I go to my desk and start the project. So that means when I'm here thinking about what I want to create, I stand up and then I think about what I want to use, and then I take, for example, such baskets or like trays or so for things which are like, tinier, which I would lose in such a basket. And then, this is probably a little bit of a weird example because this is how a basket looks when I have finished a project. So this is what I have to put back into my organization system. But you can probably imagine how this would look before I start a project. I run around here in my room and then I throw everything into this basket I need. At first glance, you could think, okay, when she has finished a project, then she has a total chaos in this basket. That is correct. But with my system, every single piece which is in here and which is then perhaps left over, it has a place and I know where to put it then. So when I then take out something from here and this is left over, then I know where to put this, and because it has a place. So this is for like paper, lace, fabric, plastic, like materials. And then I got something really cool for Christmas from one of my lovely viewers, and that is this organizer here. I'm so in love. Look at this. This is absolutely fantastic. And I have this new, and I haven't used it for what I say now, but that's the plan, to use it for what I will say now. Because I thought this is perfect when I have this here in front of my shelf with my Ranger mediums. Then I can think, okay, which color do we want to use today? Then I can decide on that. And let's say we want some prize ribbon oxide spray, then I can take that and just put that into this basket. Let's say we want some Maud Lawn distress spritz. I don't know what that shall become with the prize ribbon, but it's just an example. Let's just take some more. Let's say we want some dried marigold oxide spray. Then I can put that in here. And with these three compartments in here, I could even sort this by medium. So for example, I could say all of the sprays will go in here. Then let's say we need some embossing glaze. Then I could say, okay, the embossing glaze goes in here. And for example, paint goes in here. And then I can take this whole thing, go to my desk, create my project. And after finishing, I can put everything in here. I don't have to go multiple times from my craft desk to my shelf here, but I can throw everything in here. And since I have the order of the colors here, I can easily put these things back into the right position. So that means prize ribbon can easily, go back here. Maud Lawn can then go back here, and so on. And that is really easy to to clean your room after finishing a project. So let me quickly put that in here, otherwise my freak gets triggered. What is this, chipped sapphire? That needs to go here. So, and the same is for papers which have a color and which then are left over and they need to go back in here. So that means if I have some papers left over which I want to use for another project, they can go in here. The same for my components which are stored here. So everything is then clean and tidy after I have finished a project. Does that work in reality like I tell you that in theory? In 99.9 of the cases, because sometimes I have things, for example, which need to dry or which I want to look at the next day, but then I have also a solution because, as you can see, I have a lot of space on my tables here. So if there's something I want to keep here because I want to look at it at the next day, I can easily put it here. You can see here's also a little like parking slot for some things. And yeah, that works for me because when I then look at my desk, I can see everything is clean and tidy and I can start a new project or what I need to do on that day. The same is for this little table. This is like a parking slot, and this space here is also my die cutting station, but more about that later. A few minutes ago, I said I want that I can reach everything from here. And I've just explained how I do that with the things which are a little bit more far away. But what to do if you don't have a craft room or if you have a really small space, how could you do that then? And for that, I would like to start my little tour here. I mean, like the detailed part of the tour. I would like to start that here. And I would like to go like in a circle with you around here so that you can see what I have around me here. And perhaps you want to consider something for your space as well, so that you can then see what I have here. And perhaps you want to, transfer some of my ideas to your own space. And what I also want to mention is, even if I would not have a craft room and if I would only have this space here, I will quickly zoom out a little bit so that you can get a better overview over what I see when I'm sitting here. Even if I would only have this space, I think I would be the same. I mean, I'm sure I would be the same person. I would make the same things, and it's not a question of how big your room is. Yeah. So, some people ask me, yeah, well, Louise, you have a lot of things. And some people even say, with a ton of things, you can create like more beautiful art. But in my eyes, that is not true. We are sitting all in the same boat. We all have the same intention why we are together in this community. I said that in the beginning. We want to inspire each other. We want to have fun together, and we want to have fun creating. And when I prepared this video and thought about what I want to show you, I also reflected the past. And I watched a craft room tour video about my space in the very beginning when I was in Austria. Many of you know I lived in a really tiny space there in a caravan/tiny house. And when I saw that craft room tour, I mean, perhaps you want to watch that as well, then you can perhaps better understand what I'm talking about here, especially when you are perhaps in the beginning of your junk journal journey and you don't have so many supplies yet. There it was. I mean, when I watch it now, it's really, really funny because For example, over my desk there was a little shelf, and I said in that video, here I store my stamps, and it was like 40 centimeters or so, where all my stamps in DVD sleeves, I mean these thick DVD sleeves, had space. And I was looking to my phone where I watched the video, and it was approximately like 2 centimeters or so, which the space which the stamps needed. When I look at my stamp collection today, it's incredible that that could work for me, but it worked. I had exactly 2 spray stains in that video standing on my little shelf there. And when I look at this now, it's like, what happened in the meantime? But I also think it's normal that we get more of what we love. And even if someone would tell me you have to travel back in time and you have to, from now on craft in the space you've had years ago, would that be a problem for me? Would I then be less happy than I am now? No, definitely not. You could take everything away from me and give me like 3 things, and I would be, first of all, the same person. My character as a creative person wouldn't change. My character as a personal person would also not change. It would not change who I am. And it would not change my fun while being creating. It would not change that I am happy with what I do. And even the other way around, you could tell me, okay, I send you a ton of packages and I give you the 10, how is that said in English? 10 times of what you already have, and you get 2 more rooms or a whole house with all of these things. I would still be the same person. Yeah. And it's really important to me that you understand that only because it looks here like it looks, and I do this for a living. And I think when you do something like this for a living, you automatically have more of the things because you want to show the people what is possible, what is available. When you get things from brands, for example, then you automatically have more to show to the people and what to do. I mean, when I got the things, for example, from Tim, I don't throw them away after showing them to you, but that is clear, I think. But what I'm trying to say is, even if you have a really, really small space, try to look at what is here and what you like and what looks like handy for you and inspirational for you. And then you perhaps want to try that for your own space as well. And even, that is something I want to add to what I said before, even if you only have like a table around you, I think you can do this whole thing in a small corner of your room as well, because look, if you have a wall in front of you, you can store things. If you have then something on the left where you can put some things and something on the right, you have already, I think, everything you need, because under the table, you also have some space. I mean, there's a little dark hole for me because I don't need this space. There are only my trash cans under the table. But what I'm trying to say is, when you have not so many supplies, use every single corner you have. And then I think you can go with this system as well, if you like it. So I would like to start on the very left here. And then I would like to do the following thing. I will show you every single thing I have here and what that is, what I have here. And then we make a little tour around here. So I'm basically turning around like, on my chair. And I will show you everything in this circle. So let's do this. I want to start with this because when I decided to put my travel glass mat here to this table, that was a day like, a game changer day, because I always had the problem, no matter if I was filming or creating something only for myself without you, I had my things here and the things I've used around here. I mean, obviously, when I create something, the table is not this empty, but when I had something that needed to dry, I had put it there on this little shelf in front of my ink pads. And that is a problem, isn't it? Because when I then want to take out the ink pads, the stuff which is drying there is in the way. Yeah, that is not handy. So I thought I put something like this here. So this is in this case the travel media mat by Tonic Studios and Tim Holtz. This is the small one. Yeah, so what you can see in my videos is either the white one or the black one in the like normal size. But perhaps you know there's also a smaller size available, and this is perfect for here. So when I create something and I have something that needs to dry, it goes on this thing here and it can dry here. And the cool thing about this is when I want to put this somewhere else, for example, to a heat source or so, that it can dry faster, I can just take this with the project on it and I can carry that around and put that away. Or if I need more space on this table in that moment, I can take this and just put it out of my way. There in the back, you can see something that looks a little weird. When I moved, I had some of these containers left over. Normally, here's only one of these. Look, it's two, but this is just because I have one which I don't really need. In here, there's normally some water. It's no water in here because it was like Christmas holiday. That is a funny word. What is holiday? Yeah, and I had some days where I haven't filmed a video for YouTube. And when that is the case, here's no water in it just for, you know, it's not so nice to have some water here. Yeah, I clean this every single evening. And, you know, when I create something, here's water inside, and when I don't create and don't film, then here's also no water. But this is here for throwing things in like stencils or paintbrushes or palette knives while I'm creating, so that the mediums on those tools can't dry. And later on, when I'm finished with my project, I take this whole container with the tools and the water, go to my sink, clean everything, fill it up with fresh water, and then it goes back to my table here. This little placement is just here because of the water that might be there. You know, when you clean that and it's not completely dry, I don't want to ruin my table. So this is just here for protection. And under here, this, to be honest, needs to find a better place. I've just put this here because I found this a few days ago. These are some placements as well, really ugly from the other side. This design is not my favorite, but that doesn't matter. I found them on the street, and this is really hard plastic. And I use these, or I'm planning to use these, for protecting my table while working with wet mediums. I often have, for example, a ton of die-cut flowers, which I want to spray in a special color. Then I can place them here, spray them, take one of these things. So as you can see, these are more than one. Then I can take this with the flowers on them, can go wherever I want, put that, for example, there for drying, or to the floor, or to my heater, or to my kitchen, or whatever. Sometimes you have things, for example, you need to take them to the kitchen for some reasons. Then I can take this as, yeah, like a tray, even if it isn't a tray. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So these need to find a better place. Perhaps I will also put them under this thing. Could also work, but yeah, I think when you have a craft room, it's always a process, and you can always find things which you can improve or need to improve, and that is one of those things. So then I have my kitchen roll here. That is also something. In the past, I always had my kitchen rolls like somewhere, but since I have this little holder here, you know, you can just put that on here. This is really handy, and I really appreciate that this is here next to me, not only for, like, you know, accidents where you spill some water or something like that somewhere, but also for lifting up ink, and, you know, we need paper towels while we are crafting. So then just for the, yeah, like YouTube technical side of this whole thing, there in the background, you can see my iPad, which mirrors my phone screen. Not in this moment, there's just my app for the light shown, But normally when I do like, normal videos where I show my desk and make a project, then I can see what you can see on this thing, because then my camera is hanging in this little thing right here so that I can film what I'm doing. And yes, there's a photo of Tim. For all of you who want to talk about that, I know when I have shown my old craft room, the photo was also there, and there have been a ton of emails, a ton of comments. Why the heck is there a photo of Tim? I need this there. And yes, I have permission that I can have that there. So if you want to act like a troll, then please do that. But then be sure that your comment will be deleted. I need this. And I also needed to wear my plaid shirt today. If you know, you know. I just need that to be happy in my life. But I also want to make sure that, when I show you this, and when I am a little like sarcastic, I need to be like that, and I need to act like that because I want nice people on my channel, and all of the trolls can go away, please. I'm so sorry. So let's go on with this left part of the desk here. I have a little, how can I do that now? This is really hard to hold without making you sick. I'm really hoping that I can hold this pretty sturdy. So I have this little acrylic shelf here. This is just attached to this furniture here, so that I have two levels where I can put something. This is just my jar of water. Don't ask why there's black acrylic paint swimming. I think that is abstract art in water. It's just not totally clean. So then let's start here. Here on the very left, I have my paints mixed with water I want to use for splattering. So I have some black acrylic, some white acrylic paint and some black acrylic paint and some golden acrylic paint, because that is what I mostly use for making splatters. Please don't be confused. This is an embossing glaze jar. Originally here was some walnut stain embossing glaze in it, but I've used this because, it was empty, and why can't I use it for that? The one I have for my black splattering paint is basically the same jar, but without this label, because you can get these from Ranger and Tim even without this label. Yeah, but it's, it's hard for me to explain, but you can see it's exactly the same jar like the embossing glazes are, and that is really good. I appreciate the size of this. It's pretty small, so that nothing can get bad in here, or that nothing can dry out. I can use this up before it dries out. That I find really, really handy. But in the meantime, I also found another cool thing, and that is this. As you can see, for paint which you want to use for making splatters to your project, this is just a distress paint bottle. As you can see, it has this little, it's a normal distress paint bottle with this little opening here, but you can also open it here. And what I did here was, when this color, tarnished brass, which is obviously gold, was nearly empty, I filled this up with some water. Then I closed this and mixed the water with the paint. And as you can hear, or probably also know, there's this little ball inside. That, on the one hand, makes that this mixes up really well. On the other hand, this is really handy because you can use the paint from here. But also, if you want to go in with your paintbrush from here, or if you need more or whatever, I find that really, really helpful, and this is really handy. I got this idea with the splattering paint in here from my friend Elise Klatschmon. She's on Instagram. Don't search her on YouTube. You will not find her. She doesn't have a channel, but she's on Instagram, Elise Klatschmon. And I think she did this a little differently. You can think about that and consider if you want to do that as well, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, she has glued this here. So put a little dot of glue in here so that this is closed, so that nothing can come out anymore. And then when she wants to make splatters, she opens this and goes in with her paintbrush directly here. I do that a little differently. I use this opening here and put a little bit of this to my table. I know that wastes more of the medium than with Elise's method, but I need to see how much is on my paintbrush. And for me, it's easier to put that to my table and then, go into the color on the table. Basically, I'm talking about my glass mat. Yeah, I'm not putting this directly to my table, but you know what I mean. I can't take it out from this bottle directly. That doesn't work for me. But perhaps this is an idea for you as well. And I will definitely, even if I got this idea with these jars from Elisa as well a few years ago, I will definitely wait until no, that is not a good sentence. When my picket fence and black suit distress paint gets empty, I will definitely use that thing for, filling it up with water so that I have this bottle, not only for my golden paint, but also for black and white, because, my freak is a little bit like freaking out because of the different shape of this. Yeah. And do you know? When I have something like this, for example, this is paint for splattering and this as well, then my freak tells me that it needs to be in the same kind of bottle. The bottle needs to have the same shape. But yeah, we will see if that happens in the future. But I'm really sure. I think shall I perhaps make a month of projects with only picket fence and black suit paint so that I have then the possibility that they get empty faster and then I can have this here. I don't know. Yeah. My splatter brush is also here. Perhaps you think this has, how is the English word? How is this machine called when your car is dirty? It's like a little house where car washing house. You can pass this house with your whole car and the car gets cleaned. How is that called in English? Car washing street or so. Even if it's not a street, but a little building. Perhaps you think that my paintbrush, if you know my splatter brush, it was like this. Perhaps you think it was cleaned very carefully and very extremely, but this is a new one. I have told you when I moved from Austria to Germany, I somehow, and I still can't explain how that happened, I somehow lost my beloved splatter brush. It was exactly this brush, but obviously it looked a little more dirty and used than this. And then suddenly I got a little package from one of my German viewers, and she has said she couldn't watch my videos anymore because my splatter brush was lost. And then from my videos, she knew that it is exactly this brush, and she bought a new one for me, and now I have this here and I can make splatters again. I'm so happy that I got this. So if you're watching this, thank you very much for this brush. I want to make something where it can stand in here so that I can store it here directly where my splatter paints are, and that I can't lose it anymore. Yeah, so but I got it a few days before recording this, so it is still here without a holder or so. Then here I have my glue, which I use for putting to my projects. This is not my the rest of my glue is somewhere else, but this is what you know from my videos as well. In this bottle, I have some bookbinders glue, even if some of you might know this bottle from a store called Action. I have removed the label to not confuse you, because here's not the Action glue inside, but it's just bookbinders glue. The glue from Action doesn't work for me. I can't handle that. It's not, I can't do it. It's just, for me, it's a terrible glue because it makes every paper wonky, not wonky, but curly and really terrible. But bookbinders glue works for me for, yeah, nearly everything I glue. I glue paper to paper, fabric to paper, even plastic to paper with this. But for everything else, for example, plastic to paper or plastic to plastic, metal to glass, glass to plastic, glass to paper, or whatever. You know, I can't say all of the combinations which would be possible with this. This is the collage medium by Tim Holtz and Ranger. And, you know, for those special materials, this is really good. And that's why it's here next to my bookbinders glue as well. The bookbinders glue I'm so sorry, at the moment have in there is this one. I got this from Amazon Germany, but sometimes I also have the Craft Emotions bookbinders glue in here, or this is also one which works really well for me. But I think with bookbinders glue, there's not so many differences than with other glues. Yeah, so I mean, what is bookbinders glue? That is, in the most cases, nearly the same ingredients, isn't it? And that is the reason why I use for gluing what I can get. So if, for example, this was sold out on Amazon, I would try to get this. Or if I can't get these, I would try to get the Craft Emotions bookbinders glue. Or if I am shopping in a shop where Craft Emotions is available, I mean the brand Craft Emotions, that's a brand if you don't know that, then I would buy that probably there because, you know, I have shipping costs and blah, blah, blah. I have everything else from that shop. So why can't I buy the bookbinders glue there? So I do it basically, yeah, where I can get it, there I buy it, and then it's sometimes a different brand. Does that make sense? So yeah, let's then go on with this little corner here. So here in this little decorative tin, which I can't open with one hand, I have all of my blending foams with the blending tool there, as you can see. And here in this little thing, I have those which I need every few minutes, meaning this little finger sponge has some vintage photo on it. And yes, this is already really old and I think I need to take a new one. I think I will take one of the mini blending tools and dedicate that to vintage photo. So these are by Ranger and Tim as well. And these are really cool because they are so small, and for inking smaller areas, this is really nice. So here's some black soot at the moment, but since these things are replaceable, I can, you know, choose whichever color I want. And the other of these foams are in here, so I can exchange them really easily. But this is what I always have here. And if I want to change the color or need the ink, which is already on here, I can just grab it from there. So then here I have a little thing where sometimes some alcohol is in, but not because I need a schnapps while crafting. Not for drinking, of course not, but for example, cleaning paintbrushes from alcohol ink, or when I make projects with alcohol ink and I need some alcohol for splattering or so. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that in here. Or if I, for example, work with archival ink and I perhaps see a mistake coming or so, I put some alcohol in here so that I'm ready to remove the mistake. I think I missed this little thing here. This is some clear gesso. I have bought this to try it out. This is pretty new to me, and yeah, this is here because it shall remind me that I want to try it out. So here are also sometimes things I have new and I want to have in front of my eyes so that I don't forget to use them. Here I just have some baby wipes. And in these cool containers I also store some things I need on a daily basis. These are from Ideology. And can I get this open with one hand? I don't think so. holy cow, I'm sorry. So in the first one here, I have my, how is this called? Sanding discs, and also the blending tool. I mean, why is it called blending tool when there's sandpaper? Is it then a sanding tool? Probably not. Yeah, for what I use it, it's a sanding tool, but this thing is called blending tool, isn't it? And the sanding discs are, you know, made to put them on here, and you can obviously remove them, like the foams you can use for ink blending as well. So I found that really helpful to have everything in one place here in this cool tin. And I'm so happy that I could find these, because a long time I couldn't get them, neither in Austria than here in Germany. I'm so happy. These are really cool. And then in this one I have these things, and as you can see, this, for example, is something which looks not so nice. Yeah, it's not so decorative, and I think it's really nice to have some decorative tins or so, or other storage solutions where you can put something in where then the tin, for example, looks nice, and it doesn't matter what is inside, because, you know, having this on my desk, it wouldn't make me so happy. So this little thing here I use to make sure that my camera is in the correct position over my desk while I'm filming. This lighter I need when I want to make wax seals, or when I want to have a little candle here on my desk. And here's just some tape. To be honest, I had this on Christmas when I was wrapping some presents, and this needs to go back into another drawer, but it was, I think it got accidentally in here. But this is just for some, you know, helpers I need here, but things that look not so nice. So then here there's my water bottle here to spray some water. Then I have some gilding wax here. In this little container there are some of these little book darts. In here, this is a little container from my grandma, a little metal box. There I store my paper clips. And then these things you perhaps know from a video, because I have made these in a video. These are, have been some Pringle boxes, and I have turned them into these little storage containers, or how do you say that, for some threads. These threads are meant to use for junk journal pages. Yeah, so this is not what goes into my sewing machine. My sewing machine threads, I mean, these are sewing machine threads as well, yeah, but the threads I use for my sewing machine I store somewhere else. So, well, to open this with one hand is really not so easy. But what I was trying to say originally, this was meant to put the end of the threads through these little holes I made here. I've just set some eyelets in here, and originally I was thinking that I can then have the threads in there with no need to open this, and then I can pull the color of thread I want to have, and then just cut it off, and I have the thread, and the rest can stay in here. But in the meantime, I found out that especially when I film my videos, this is not handy for me, because when I'm sitting here filming something for you, I often need to grab the things like blindly. So that means I'm looking to my desk here, and I take my hand, go to the corner there, and grab the thing which I want to take. That has, time-saving reasons, because the longer I need while filming to find something I want to use, the longer it takes me to edit the video. So, yeah, but this works for me, still works for me, because I have a nice decorative storage here for this. This, by the way, is made with some ideology paper, and these cats are a die cut by Zizix and Tim Holtz, the mischievous cats. Or is it is it only called mischievous, or is it called mischievous cats? I'm not so sure. But yeah, this die cut set is, by the way, the one where I learned the word mischievous. But that doesn't matter. I really like how this turned out, and I really like when these are watching over me while I'm sitting here and making something. They're in the corner, but I can still reach it while I'm sitting here. There are these glitter dusters. I have two different colors. One, in this color, and there's another color, and in the very corner there, there is some glossy accents crackle and the normal glossy accents. To be honest, I need to stand up when I want to reach that, but glossy accents is something that I don't use on a daily basis, so it can be there in the corner. So then when we move on here I have just some, technical stuff to plug in my devices and my heat tool. I definitely need to clean this, but sometimes I think perhaps it needs to look like this. Is your heat tool also so dirty? I would be really interested in that. Please write yes, then I would not feel so alone. But the problem with this is, this is a really great tool, but the cable is in my way the whole time. You can see with this basket here, it's really a problem with the cables. I need to find another solution for that, because also when I do something here and I want to take this, sometimes it happens when here is stuff that the cable moves the stuff, and that really drives me crazy. So I want to find a solution that the cable of the heat tool comes up here, so that I can, take it from here and then I have it here, and that only this short distance has the cable then. I don't know if I can manage that, but that is a plan for the future. So then here in this basket, there's my glue and sealer. So the bookbinders glue you've just seen is in here. There's also some super glue, some Mod Podge, and what I also have in here, even if the label doesn't say it, is some stamp cleaner. This is like a backup basket, and perhaps you think, why is this here when she has her glue on hand here? That is really an argument. In the past, when I was, my freaks, when I was in Austria, I had my iPad, which was mirroring my screen here, meaning in front of that basket. And that is why the basket is now still here, because originally I thought I will place the iPad again here. So, then the basket was behind the iPad, and it made sense that there was something inside I didn't need on a daily basis, because, the space behind the iPad was lost anyway. But now I decided to put the iPad here, so that this basket in the future will definitely hold something which I need more often than this backup glue. And that will probably be a second of this thing, because this is something I made new, and I'm so proud. I made this by myself. I was the whole time struggling with storing my stencils. And now I found the perfect solution for me, and that is this. This is massively inspired by the Ideology file cards. I always don't know how that thing is called. And these vignette things, do you know? So this, where I have my swatches in, is by Ideology, and perhaps you might know these things with the handle, which have 3 compartments, and they are way smaller, obviously, but that was the inspiration for this. I have made this from some cardboard, is that the word? This really thick gray material, and then I have glued some book pages on that, and then I have thrown some Ranger mediums on it, and then I had this really vintage looking thing. I need to label this. I know that my stencils are in here, yes. So why is there a necessity to put a label which says stencils in here? Well, that is just because of my inner freak. Who wants to have the name, I mean, this word stencils here, but I need to do this. I made this like a few days ago and I couldn't find the time to finish this. This handle is a leftover handle from my kitchen, but that is really helpful because now I can take this out from this little slot there really easily. I know that some people store their stencils on these rings. I had that before I found that this solution is better for me as well. But as you can see, I don't only store the stencils themselves in here, but also all of the packages. And that has a reason. I'm a freak. My brain is like the twin of me, a freak as well. Do you know what I mean? And I need these packages here. I don't know, yeah, if it's only my freak, but it's also helpful for me to have them here because they show the stencil. So this is confusing because, wait, the stencil which normally is there in the front is here. Can you see? It's in this basket because I need to clean that. So that would normally be in here. But then the system works like this. Here's the stencil, the packaging. The stencil, the packaging, and then I can flip through it like this, and this is really handy. And that is also because Tim and Stampers Anonymous printed the pattern of the stencil here. So that means when I flip here on the left through these stencils, I can immediately see which one it is without the need of looking at the stencil itself, which is a little more in there, yeah, and which you can't see so well when this is so full. I also have some swatches in here. Perhaps you know my video where I made swatches of my stencils. So that means this little container here is also full because I have not only the packages additionally to the stencils in here, but also some swatches. I don't know if this will stay like it is with the swatches, I mean, in the future. The packages will definitely stay in here because they have another advantage, but perhaps I will take out the swatches to save some space, but if I get more stencils, I still have that space there. And I'm planning on making a second of these so that I have more space for my stencils then. But the packages in here also have another reason. And the reason is, look, when I'm here, let me show that from, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm shaking. From a little more far away so that you can see that better. And this needs to go in here first before I can show you that, because otherwise I'm freaking out. So let's say we make a project and let's say we want to use this stencil. Then the following thing happens. I take the stencil out and I take the packaging and put it in here like so. Let's say we want to use another one. For example, this one here. Then I take the stencil out. Oh no, I lost the space. Ah, oh no, where is it now? But that is only because I'm filming and I have my, here it is. I have my camera in my hand. When I do this with two hands, that is obviously way easier. But what I'm trying to say is I then take the packaging of the stencil I've just taken out and put that in here like so. Let's take another one. Even with the swatches in here. So here's the swatch and this is the stencil. This works perfectly fine. Just put the packaging like so. Take the stencil out. Use the stencil. So now let's imagine we've used these. Then we have cleaned them. They are dry and we want to put them back in here. Then I can easily, even if I would have taken out more than 3, see where they need to go. And then I can easily see, okay, this one here is this one because the picture shows which one it is. And I can let it slide in here, turn it, and then it's back in there. And that is really, really easy to, you know, when you have to clean your stencils, you have to let them dry. That is already a lot of time which goes by. But when you then need to find the space where they need to go, that was always like, yeah, a little struggle time-wise for me in the past. But with this method, it is really easy. You can see my mini stencils are here like so, because they would disappear a little bit if I would put them, you know, like so, like the others are as well. So I decided to do this like so, but this is like something like temporary. I think I will put these in an extra drawer so that looks a little nicer, even if I really like this look, you know, when they peek out there, it looks a little stylish and it works for me. But yeah, I'm not so sure what will happen with the minis, but you know, the packages of the minis are in here as well. So if I would take out one or the whole set of the minis, I can also take the package and do the same thing I've just shown you. And then this whole thing can go into its parking slot here. So let's then move on to this tiny cabinet. This looks like wood at first glance, but it's made from plastic. I mean, this whole thing originally was made from plastic. Originally it looked like this there on the right, and then I altered that to make this little thing here, massively inspired by the big one there. If you follow my channel, you already know what this is and how I use this. There are also videos available on how I made this, and I also have made one journal with this method here, which is behind this little cabinet. So if you want to watch that, you can find the videos on my channel. The idea behind this is to avoid mess on the table while working on a project, especially while working on a whole junk journal. Perhaps you know that. You have a journal in the making, and then you have, for example, already finished some tags or some cards, or you have made some clusters or so, which are ready to go into the journal, but the journal itself is not finished yet. And for that problem, this is my solution. So these little labels here tell me what I can put in here. Either like finished things, like finished ephemera, for example, but this is also for going shopping in my own stash, preparing for a project, but related to that specific journal I'm working on. So meaning when I, for example, make a video about making, let's say, a journaling card or so, and not a whole journal, I do the method with this little organizer I've shown you in the beginning, you know, for collecting my mediums. I mean, well, that is a little bit nonsense what I'm telling you here, because my mediums will not go in here. That is a little bit stupid. Sorry. Let's say I make a journaling card and I need some paper, some lace, and let's say some stickers. Then I will probably take a basket, throw everything in there while going shopping in my stash, bring everything to my table and make the card. But when I make a whole journal, this is my system to not get overwhelmed with the mess which could come to my table. And I also take these out. Let's say this one here, for example, which says fabric and lace on the left side and tape here on the right. Then I take this container I take the basket, which I've just explained for the journaling card example. I take this and look which fabric and lace would fit to my project. Then I put that in here. Which tape would fit to my project, meaning the journal I'm working on, and then that goes into the right compartment here. And with that, I can collect all of the materials which fit to my journal and which I want to have in the journal in here. And then I can take that out, make my ephemera, make my page decorations, and when I then want to clean up my table, I can put everything back in here, because this also, it's so hard to do with one hand, I'm sorry. It also says, for example, tags and cards, or page tabs, pockets and tucks, and so on. So that means when I go shopping in my stash, the components for making these things are in here, like raw materials. When I then make, let's say, some pockets and tucks, the finished pockets and tucks go back in here, so that my desk at the end of the day is then clean and tidy and everything is in here. When I then the next day come back here and work further on the journal, I can take this and I have my things in here to take them out and throw them into the journal. Oh, by the way, I think I missed these books here. This book, or what looks like a book, and this here is just what holds this shelf. So these are real book covers, but there are no book pages inside anymore, but just some wood, so like little stands which hold this shelf here where my ink pads are on. I thought that looks really nice, and to be honest, when I look through the camera now, this green basket really bothers me, because when I see this, which obviously fits to this, I mean, I made it that it matches, I want to have something like this there as well. So this green bothers me a little bit. And I also want to alter this thing, which is, you know, the same base like that, in exactly the same way like this is, but with the same, I nearly said ingredients, but you know, with the same things inside. But this plastic looks not so nice, but you know, a craft room is always a work in progress somehow. So in here I have some no-name alphabet stamps. These are nearly historical somehow, because I have them since my very first days of creating junk journals. Do I like them? Well, for some things, yes, but you know, it could happen that I will use them for like decoration or so, or that I will craft with them. They are not so handy. Perhaps you have seen my Defamoramba video where I struggled with these because they don't stamp where they you know, show that they stamp, especially these. The print on here is not exactly in the right spot, so that is really hard to stamp with them. But I think craft supplies can sometimes also be something like memories, and when you have something for a very long time, obviously you don't throw it away. But yeah, well, they are still in here. So then I have some brads and eyelets and jump rings and these tinier things in here. And here on the very bottom there are some safety pins and bulb pins, and also these little eye pins which you can use for making little dangles with beads. All of these containers need to be, as you can see, they move. They need to be, I can't do that with one hand, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I need to fix them somehow so that they are attached to the table or so, that they can't move backwards, because the problem is the shelf, and with that the space under the shelf is deeper than these containers are. So that means there's a ton of space there, and that's why they don't stop when I put the drawers back in there. But I need to find a solution for that. And this is also moving, of course, because this is empty at the moment, because I have no journal in the make at the moment. Yeah, so when the next journal comes and this is filled up, they get heavier and this problem is not so big anymore. But yeah, at the moment I need to think about that. Perhaps some screws which I will put in the table while the bottom drawers are removed, and then that can't happen anymore. But I need to think about a solution for that. So then here on the very right, there's something I need very often, and that is my little swatch box. In here there's the same palette I have already talked about, and that's the Ranger palette. So that means every color from the Ranger palette has one of these little booklets here, and I have swatched all of my mediums in here. There are also videos available about how I made this. Many of you followed that series, and I'm really happy about that, because so many of you have told me that this is helpful for you as well, and of course that makes me happy. I mean, this is a ton of work, but you do this once and then you have it, and this is so helpful for learning more about the colors. This has really helped me a lot. If you want to see this, please search for my playlist, which is called Swatches. There you can find several videos about this box. And you can also find the stencil swatches, which I've shown you a second ago, in that playlist. Yeah, so then when we move further to the right, we see something here which I have new and which was the, I think, most surprising game changer I have ever experienced in this room. Perhaps you know this problem that you have several paper trimmers or things like this envelope punch board, or for example this little thing where you can clean your stamps, or embossing tray, or whatever, stamping platform, all of those things which are really hard to store in my eyes. Of course you could put them all next to each other, but then they would take a ton of space. You could like put them on top of each other, but that is not so good for, you know, the life of the trimmers and how to reach them then. And then suddenly, nearly by coincidence, I found the perfect solution for me. And this might sound like an advertisement for IKEA now. I don't get anything from IKEA for saying this. I say this because this is for me the perfect solution. Let me take this out to show you what this is. So this is, how is that called? An organizer for a kitchen drawer. You can see there's this black thing with the holes, which goes over this table. So this is basically a couch table. I mean, I had this, you can see this table, I had that in the caravan already. And then I decided that I can put that there under the table because look, the wall here is not straight because we are in the second floor and there's already the roof of the house. So it's, a little bit, in the beginning, it seemed to be a wasted space. But then I decided to put this table there. And on the table, there's this kitchen organizer and it has these little holes. And these you can take out. I mean, this is plastic, but this is really sturdy. And then you can put these, turn them around like a little screw or so. I mean, it's not really a screw, it has this system here on the bottom, but you can put them in the spot you need them, and then you can store a ton of stuff in here. I'm so in love with that. I mean, it took me a while to figure out how much space each of these machines need, but I think that is normal with every storage system you come up with. And then I can just take these, put them in here, and they are in here. I mean, they move a little bit, yes. They are not completely like frozen in there, but they can't fall out, and they are here and they don't wreck my nerves. And when I craft, I can just take out whichever paper trimmer I want, or one of the other tools I have in here. And then with one hand, I can reach that, put that to my table, use the tool, and with one hand, I can put it back. I find it really helpful when especially when you record videos, or when you are this kind of person, when you get distracted by picking up things. And for me, it's really helpful to only need one hand, take it, use it, and put it back here. So then here on this little thing, this is also from IKEA, but to be honest, I can't recommend this because, I mean, I use this because I have it. I bought it online without seeing it in reality, but to be honest, I can't recommend to buy this because this has rolls, and that is really helpful if I want to take this a little closer to myself. But if I try that, now it works. Well, sometimes when I do that, this plate here, this top part, comes to me. So it is really loose on here, and then can you see? Then I need to, I can't do it with one hand. I need to push it back, and that is really annoying. So normally I could take my finger, put that here to this corner, and just pull it to myself, but it's not working. I mean, now it works. But normally this comes off every single time. But well, perhaps I can find a solution for fixing that. Perhaps you have a solution. Perhaps you have one of these and you found a solution for that. Then please let me know in the comments. So on here I have my paintbrushes, some markers, mainly black, white, gold, and silver, My scissors, they will probably not stay here. I already thought about something like little hangers or so, where I can see better which scissors I want to grab, because I have the Tim Holtz and Tonic Studio scissors, and they are all black here. And when I look only with one half of one of my eyes here, you know, for example, while filming, and I put one of my hands here and take one of these, then it's often not the one I want to grab. So I have to find a solution for that. But here are also some other tools like bone folder, my ideology hammer, a little, you know, all and everything you need for bookbinding, my pokey tool. I mean, an awl is a pokey tool as well, but I use that for different things. This little thing here to hold things while heat embossing. And then in these drawers, here are also things I need to, reach really quickly. So in the first thing here, there are all my, I can't take it out so far. Oh my goodness. That is also, how is that word? The opposite of advantage, disadvantage of this thing, because when you pull too much, then everything is on the floor, because these things don't stop. That is a little bit difficult, but this is also because of the fact that I have my phone in my left hand and taking this only with one hand out. I mean, if I have both hands, this can't happen so easily, this accident. So in here, there are all my mediums, as you can see. If you don't know yet, I'm a Ranger fan. Also for mediums which are texture paste. And I mean, when I say mediums, that is probably not the correct word. I mean mediums which are texture pastes. Yeah, so because my other mediums obviously are there. That was just the wrong English word I've used. Sorry. So all of my texture pastes are here. Here's only one alien, which is this modeling paste by Sosträne, but the rest is Ranger. Sorted by texture paste, crackle, grit, and special things like glitter, mica flakes, and here a collage medium in the jar. So then in the next drawer here, I have all of my embossing powders and things like embossing ink, my embossing pens, and so on, little spoons if I want to, you know, put the powder on with a spoon. And in here, there's everything which has not the same names like the 72 colors from there. So that means all of my embossing glazes are there. So, I mean, you could think embossing, okay, then the glazes would need to go in this drawer as well, but they are not here because they belong in my brain to the palette I have on the wall on the right side, which I've just shown you. So that means in here, there are all of the embossing powders which have different names. For example, the golden embossing powder by Ranger is not called tarnished brass, otherwise it would be in the shelf on the wall. It is called gold, so that's why it is here. For example, this here is called black and not black suit, and that is why it's here and not in the shelf on the wall. Something totally different, like this, for example, vintage pearl. That is not a name of a color from the 72 colors from the palette, so that is why it is here. Does that make sense? In my brain, it makes sense. So this drawer looks a little weird and a little unorganized. That is because I need some dividers here, and I'm also planning on getting some more colors of alcohol ink. So as you can imagine, this is my alcohol ink drawer, and I made this so that I can, you know, take one of these, no, two of these storage tins and put them next to each other here, and then this whole stuff will probably go somewhere here with a divider so that it can't move anymore. But this drawer is also a work in progress because I need to purchase my alcohol inks I want to get, and then they will go there. But here's everything, you know, this alcohol lift ink and this little blower tool, don't know how that is called, but yeah, everything alcohol ink related. Then in the next drawer here, I have my punches, like circles and these little things where you can punch these little corners for tags and so on, and tickets, little tag punch, and you know, a little banner and so on. And here are also my rulers. Then here's my hot glue section. And in the last one here, I just have some of my Swiffer replacement fluffy things here, you know. So then, when we turn here to the right, I have this thing here, which has a total of 9 drawers. And I have, yeah, more things which I need on hand in here, and also my stamps. So since we had things like that here, tools like that here, let's go on and let's go like so somehow. So in here, in the first drawer in the first row on the left, I have some brayers and my palette knives. In there are my blending tools, which I use for distress ink. And this is another example. This is archival ink, and which get cleaned after I have used them. Let me explain that, because that is perhaps a little bit difficult to understand or a little confusing. Because, look, in that drawer there, in that shelf there, I have also some blending brushes. Perhaps you have already seen those, and perhaps you think, hey, that makes no sense to have blending brushes here and over there. But for me, that makes sense, because in this shelf, every single color of the palette has a blending brush. So that means I have these little jars here. For every color, I have this jar, and in the jar, there is the watercolor pencil, the crayon, if I have that, and a blending tool dedicated to this color. So that means if we look here for tumbled glass, this brush is only used for tumbled glass oxide ink and for nothing else. Because when I started my ink pad collection, which is over here, I started with oxide inks because that was from the very beginning, the medium which fascinated me the most. And that is also why I have all of the 72 colors of oxide inks, but only a few ink pads. I mean, I have space here. Tim would have to move a little bit up, but you can see I have a lot of space here to, if I want that, buy the rest of the ink pads also. But you can see here, you know, the black cases are the ink pads and the gray ones are the oxides. You can see I have only a few ink pads, and that means I don't need so many blending brushes for distress ink. Yeah, but since I have all of the 72 colors of oxide ink, I want to have one brush per color for the oxide inks. And to save space, I have put, and also to make my life a little easier with seeing which brush is which, I have put the ink brushes in here. Because if I would have 2 brushes per color there, meaning an oxide brush and an ink brush, I would need to label each of them to don't get confused. I mean, you can see it with your eyes if it's oxide or ink, but you know, if they then would touch each other there in the glass where I have them standing, that would really freak my freak. So that is why there are only the oxide brushes and not the ink brushes. And when I use one of these, I will just throw that into my little basket of water, clean that, and when they are dry, they go back in here. This is really space saving. I also have then my small crocodile here and just some pliers, some sandpaper. I don't know why this is in here. This belongs here, just like so. This thing I use to clean my glass mat, you know, just some tools which you need for example, setting eyelets or making little dangles like jewelry pieces. Then I have some punches in here, and I think I'm already ready to make a little party. As you can see, I have some confetti here. That is just because these always open, and this little, you know, trash can here opens, and then everything falls in here. But you can just take a vacuum cleaner, and then, you know, I have to clean this. But yeah, this is the reality. Sometimes in the drawer it looks like this. So then in the next one here, I have my big crocodile, then some pencils for making some sketches or so, my watercolors, which I nearly never use because, you know, when you have, it's really hard for me to say that because I don't want to say something bad about other brands, but I love Ranger. And when you have Ranger mediums, even the nicest watercolors, I mean, these are Winsor & Newton watercolors, and I got them as a birthday gift a long time ago, and I really appreciate that I have this. And I wanted these for my birthday, but to be honest, that was before I knew Ranger and Tim. But I wanted these, and I have these, and I sometimes use them. But to be honest, since I have Ranger, I don't need this anymore, but it is still in here, just in case I need it. So here are some more pencils. Then also these little wax thingies for making wax seals. And then I have here something which I, yeah, to be honest, don't need in here anymore. These are some finger sponges from the time where I didn't have all of the oxide ink colors. And this was then handy for me, but with 72 colors, this is not big enough anymore. I think I will take this and turn this into a piece of art and hang that to my wall because I don't need this anymore. Because when I want to ink edges in one of these colors, I can take my blending tools from there and do that. So there's, to be honest, no need to have these, but sometimes you have those things where you know, you have them and you need to put them somewhere. In this cool thing here, there are my tools for making wax seals. And then I have my acrylic plates for stamping in here, and also, you know, this little guy for embossing, and this thing which you can use to go over the stamping platform to press it down, and some masking tape for stamping. Then in here I have my staplers and my sidekick. My other my other die cutting machines are in another place, and perhaps on the first glance it makes no sense to have the sidekick here, but for me it makes sense because the sidekick is a machine I use on my table, and the other embossing machines I use in another spot. Yeah, so when I want to die cut something, then, did I just say embossing machines? Well, it's an embossing and a die cut machine. You know, my Big Shot and my switch machine, I use them on another table for bigger projects, and when I want to cut more. And the sidekick I use on my table, so that's why it is here and not in the other spot where the other machines are. Then in here there's everything tape, and also things like, you know, these little labels, for example, and these Velcro dots for making some closures, some foam tape, yeah, everything like double tape and masking tape related, and you know, you can see what this is. Not so exciting. Then here we have a really weird drawer which is nearly empty. I have some of these pouches here which are empty. I don't know yet what I want to store in these, but it's good to have them. Then I have this little thing here. There are all my pencils and, you know, things when I want to make a sketch or so. Sometimes I have this, you know, situation where I think I want to sketch something. And in the past I had also yeah, some years, I would say, where I needed this more often than I do now, but it's in here. This drawer will probably in the future get emptied because I am planning on getting more stamps, and then I need this because here, in here, there are my stamps and also there, so that I have this as a free space and that I don't run out of space if I get more stamps. This drawer is really helpful. Then here on the bottom, there's also just some stuff which I need on a daily basis, some clamps and these little corners which you can use for making little boxes from cardboard. These can help you to get a 90-degree angle. I think you know these. If not, they are, for example, available on here. I got them from, how is this shop called? Craftelier. There are some needles, pencil sharpeners, some wax to make some, you know, when you have thread and you want to bind a journal, it's handy to have wax so that the thread gets waxy, then it gets easier through the holes. And then here I start my stamp collection. This looks really weird from the end, because the rest of my stamps is here and in this drawer. Here is just what is left over from reorganizing my stamp. If you know my past craft room tours, you know that I originally had stored my stamps in DVD cases like this. This is still in here. I mean, this is a Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous stamp set as well. And if you see how I store the rest of them in here, you might wonder why this is still in the DVD case. This is because I have bought this secondhand, and this plastic thing where the stamp sets are normally on, I'm talking about this plastic here, that was not coming with the stamp set. So the person who sold this to me has thrown that away. I can't understand that, but that is why this is still in here. I need to find a solution for that because, you know, I want to have this in here as well. Then what is in here are still some leftovers from stamps. This is from, you know, Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous had some stamps which are combined with stencils. So these were the silicone stamps, these clear stamps, which had a stencil at the same time. So like a combi package. How do you say that? Like a mix-max thing. And this is from the packaging from that. I want to use that somehow, but I don't know how yet. But of course, we don't throw this away. This is also something I have to reorganize. This is just in the condition it got into after my move. I also have some stamps which are not Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. So this, for example, I got in a Happy Mail. So I still have to find a solution to include that into the rest of my stamp collection. And yeah, you know, some empty DVD cases, everything which is, yeah, basically like leftover. Because when I changed from the DVD cases to this system here, I decided that I want to try, and I say try because I have not worked with this for long enough that I can tell you if this will work for me forever. Because I have this, I have put this in here, but I can already, I mean, I can see advantages and disadvantages in here. For example, when I close this, and I do this a little too aggressively, can you hear? With every time I close it, the stamps move a little bit to the back. So that means I need to find something which I can put there so that I don't need to put them back like this every single time. That wrecks my nerves a little bit, but it is okay. The second little problem is that IKEA made this without thinking about me and the other Stampers Anonymous fans. Because look, this is really, at first glance it looks like, you know, really handy. Look, you can flip through them and it's really nice if a stamp would fall off, it would not get lost because it will fall into the drawer. I will always find it. I can never lose a stamp with this system, but can you see? It's just the tiniest bit. It's approximately a centimeter, which is missing. I mean, which the drawer would need to come out more so that I can take this out like so. So I mean, it works, yeah, otherwise they wouldn't be in here. I need to take it out like this and then, you know, put it back in here like so. It works, yeah, it works totally fine. But it would be way more handy if I could just take them out like this and put them back in here like so. But the other good thing is I can, when I have both hands available, take this whole drawer and take the whole drawer out from this cabinet, and then I can put that just there and flip through them. If I, for example, need more than one stamp set, I could take this whole thing out, and then it's also, again, handy. I have organized these by theme, and I have put little pieces of cardboard here. They need a label here. I mean, in the meantime, I know what is where, yeah, but I want to label them because of my inner freak, you know. So it starts here with flowers and animals. Then it goes over into backgrounds and, you know, these like mixed media stamps and so on, and things like, yeah, everything which is like background-ish or mixed media-ish. Also these little things which are, you know, like those stamps which you can use to decorate edges, for example. This is, yeah, I would say a junk journal-ish organization and categories, because I think when you are a junk journaler, you think differently about stamps and how to use them than if you would be, for example, a card maker. Yeah, a card maker would probably not have this order. I think that is just a little difference between us. So then here it goes on with everything which is, you know, these tiny things like little numbers, like from the eccentric stamp set, or these newer ones, the tidbits, for example. All of these tiny things, curator, I can't believe how we could live for such a long time without this stamp set. I mean, this is something really essential, but that means these tinier things. And then also like tickets and so on. Then it goes over to alphabets and numbers and, you know, numbers and letters. And then here is everything like, you know, around the inspector and the professor, you know, everything that fits into that category. And then here is Halloween, and in the very end there is Christmas. Yeah, so then I would say we are nearly at the end of this little round here, because when I now sit back to my chair and I go, you know, I have just turned around completely, then I have my sewing machine here, which was not here from the very beginning. I have changed the whole thing a little bit. Originally I had it somewhere else, but then one day I came to the idea to put this desk here into this room. So as you can tell, this is also my office. So you can see my laptop there, and here is where I do all of my video editing, all of the administration of my social media. And yeah, this is my office at the same time. And originally I had this white desk here somewhere else. It was in my living room. So if you know my last video, you already know where we are here. It was originally here in that, oh, let me switch on the light. It was originally here in this corner of the living room. That's also why it is so empty here, because I removed the desk from here. Why have I done that? Easy reason. Because when I have my free time and I sit on my couch over there, I always had the feeling that I look to my office and that I don't really have a private life anymore, because my work was always in front of my eyes, and I wanted to change that. And when we are here, I can also show you something I missed in the past video. I got some questions about that, or if I can show that. So perhaps you have seen my spontaneous live stream with Barbara at 49 Dragonflies, where I painted this guy here. This is how he looks in the meantime. Some of you wanted to see him. So he is not completely finished yet. He got some golden gilding wax, as you can see, but for me, he is not finished. He is not ideology-ish enough for my taste, but I have to decide what I want to do with him so that he still fits into this room. So black and gold is good for this room, but there's something missing. And some of you have also seen the ducks I had on my table the last time, so I wanted to quickly show you these as well, how they look now. So I painted the beaks and the eyes in white. And I mean, I gave them some eyes. They had really tiny eyes when I bought them, and I didn't like that. And I made some marbles. No, I didn't make them. I had them, but I made them gold. And then I have put them into this picture frame, which I have put together a little differently than it normally would be done, so that it is like a little tray. And now I have the plan to hang this like so somehow into my bathroom. So that is what was on my desk in the end of my apartment tour video, which I have shown you a few days ago. And I was assuming that some of you wanted to see this, so I decided to show it to you here. I mean, while I'm filming this, I haven't read the comments below the other video. That is because I have filmed this, in 2 days or so, but you see it in another time period. Is that English? I don't know. Let's go back in here so that we can end this video. I'm really hoping that you could get some inspiration from this, and perhaps you want to try something like this for your own craft room as well. Oh, I'm a little bit wonky, but I think you can live with that. Perhaps if you have some questions, then please feel free to leave them under this video in the comment section. But please note that I will record my craft room tour videos pretty quickly after each other. So that means in the next video, I will probably have the same plaid shirt because I will film the next part right after I have finished this one here, because of my time schedule. And that means if you have a question and you put that under the video, it can happen that I can't answer the question in the video. Of course, I will try to cover the most questions I can possibly imagine, but it can happen that you get a written answer to your comment and that the question is not covered in my upcoming videos. But that is just because of time problems, and I have to prepare my videos, otherwise you can't watch anything here. But please feel free to ask if you have a question, or perhaps I have explained something not so good or so, or you haven't understood it or so, then please just leave a comment. And in the next video we are going to talk about we will probably need 2 more videos, because I can already see that this is going to become really long. But I made this really intensively because I want you to have something from it, so that you can get something from it. I think it doesn't help if I run through my room and say this is this and this is that, and if I don't explain what's behind that and the system behind it, then it's nonsense. It doesn't help. So I'm really hoping that this was not too long and too intense for you, but that it could answer your questions that you have, and that it could inspire you for your own storage system in your own room and your organization system. So in the next videos, we are going to talk about that big cabinet with those like categories I have in my brain and in the cabinet for making junk journals. And we are also going to talk about the shelf with the colors where I store my paper. We are going to talk a little bit about this shelf there. And we also have a few more drawers where I store some tools and lace and that stuff. So if you're wondering where I have that and how I organize that, then you can watch the upcoming videos. So now I think I need more coffee, and I also need to call Barbara at 49 Dragonflies because I have a question, which is not really a question, but somehow a plan which she needs to do together with me, and I'm really excited to see if she is willing to do that. If so, you will get to know about that, but I just had a crazy idea. You know, my brain is like weird. So have a very great and creative day, and see you the next time. Bye bye.